This session brought to you by Odyssey Games for pre-orders and sealed product, CCG Prime for tons of singles and supplies, Cardo Doko for international rulers looking for products, and fowlibrary.com for articles and wonderful deck lists, as well as our guest lecturer members Vite Ramen and Darren Noblock. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers. Welcome back after a long week of Force of Will to your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast. It's Office Hours featuring myself, DMO73, and I am joined this week by Patrick Ogrins.
Hi, guys.
He has a standing desk now.
I have a
and
new
Paul
desk.
Reisman.
Currently website developing.
As we speak.
I'm the guy in the chair.
Hey, we are here. We have a lot of cool stuff to talk about today. A lot of drama-filled stuff to talk about today because it wouldn't be, a ban list without some kind of drama. And we also have some cool news to show you, which we'll get into here in a little bit. Before we get started, though, Odyssey Games does have their pre-orders up for Pilgrim Memories right now on the website. You can check the link in the description to go check that out. You'll also notice some other links down there that are brand new, mainly to rulerschooltcg.com. That seems kind of weird. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but you could go check that out if you want to look around there, I suppose. And as always, all of the wonderful sponsors in the video description, you can go check them out and give them some kudos there. So tonight, we're going to talk about spoilers, we're going to talk about our cool new project for you, and then we're also going to talk about the rest of the time for Banlist. So let's just jump right into spoilers, shall we? First up, we have Palace of the Ethereal Nation. This is a blue-black New World Ethereal. Enter, expand your possession area by 1 until end of game, and you can tap to take a bunch of ethereals from your graveyard and put them into your EX zone, equal to the number of resonators your opponent has, or take the number that many things from your ethereal zone and into the field based on the number of things your opponent has. And then it has Mastery, Mausoleum of the Ruined Nation. This card is like, I already thought that Asuka and Reinhardt was a good accelerator for Reinhardt, and then they printed this. And I'm like, dang.
Yeah, this card has me going back to the drawing board a little bit because I'm not sure where the room is in the deck anymore. I'm still crafting Reinhardt for the first time. So
there's a world for me where I look at this card and I go, oh, we're playing Rhea in this deck to mill the
first mausoleum
thing to the graveyard. The mausoleum to the graveyard. We're going to play Asuka and Reinhardt, bounce it back to our hands to get Mausoleum, trigger Asuka Reinhardt, get the Asuka, then tap Mausoleum, play the Palace, and just that's the starting of the engine. And that seems really good.
I feel like you don't need Raya to mill it because you just pay the blue and replace it in your hand because you just pitch it to draw a card.
I guess you could do that. You just have to. That just means you have to play more copies. So my argument is always just it's a card that's not great in hand, so I'd rather get a body that does the same thing, so I don't have to play as many copies of it. Is a thought.
Interesting. So you're thinking 2 max, and then just if you draw it, you will use the in-hand effects instead.
Probably.
Yeah, that's me too. For Mausoleum, yep. And then I probably want to play at least 2 copies, maybe 3 of Palace, because I even think as a 2-drop, this is a fine card to cast if you resolve it. If you mastery it, sure, but if casting it still feels almost immediate immediate up value, especially if you have a bunch of ethereals in graveyard. That's worth it to me.
Yeah, I agree. What's also good too is if you do have Mausoleum in the graveyard and you sack that Asuka Reinhardt as part of its effect to come into the field, you suddenly get the other ruler, and now your other copies are cheaper.
Yeah, for sure. Going down to it being a 1-drop is insanely relevant.
1-drop 9/9.
That lets me start flickering my ethereal princesses every turn.
Yeah, that's correct.
Seems pretty good.
Next up, correct. Who'd have thought?
Next up, we have Egg of the New Generation. We've seen this again. All of these we've seen in our pre-release video, but we haven't really talked about them. 1 green, 1 red. You may remove an ice counter from a J ruler named Killua rather than play this card. You as it enters the field, so not a replacement effect. It's not an enter effect. It's as it enters. You go back up to 4 ice counters. essentially. And then whenever a dinosaur resonator you control is destroyed, you may put this card from your graveyard into your hands. You can keep buying it back. And then tap Banish. If you control 2 or more dinosaur resonators, search your deck for a non-human dinosaur resonator, so it can't be Zeus Alice.
It can't be Brad and Killua.
It also can't be Brad and Killua as well. Put it into the field, then shuffle your deck. Play this ability only if you have no ice counters left. This is a pretty cool tool for like a dino heavy Killua build, which I think is nice to like be able to reintroduce into the environment. It's honestly kind of a similar kind of problem Paul was talking about before of like, even with the ban list, where do you find room for this card? It's like a 2 of maybe in like a heavy dino build, but outside of a
like
heavy dino build, I don't think it
Killua
does
and
anything.
Brad will count for the dinosaur resonator on board, but you can't search out another one with the egg, which is kind of awkward.
Yeah. It is cool to give like dinosaur driven Killua an actual like new tool though. Like this doesn't really find a place in burn Killua. This doesn't really have a place in control Killua really, I don't think. And this certainly doesn't, I mean like gas Killua, I guess, but like maybe can at least replace the Phantasmal, so you like can generate some additional value on the gas turn, right? Like have 2 dinosaurs, sack this, get another dinosaur that's pumped to be able to go in. So this probably finds the most pressure in like a gas build, but that's heavy dinosaur anyway, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm split on this card. Mostly because I feel like the best effect on this is to go back up to 4 counters so I can get more cards.
Yeah.
And I'm split on that too, right? That's the thing that I'm most split on, right?
Yeah,
The dinosaurs were already something we were trending away from. They're not awful, but we're trending away from them in Killua. But the idea of like, now I can't contract because I went back up to 4 counters feels weird.
Yeah, that's true.
Not as cracked as the last card. No, Pat.
Hey, eggs. I mean like
Eggs.
this is
Egg
to
buns.
me this is a cool fair replacement for Phantasmal for me. Like it doesn't it serves to kind of help extend the gas turn, and it's pseudo free to like help you set up rather than spending your stones. Like Phantasmal would like pseudo extend by like getting you temp stones and everything else. But the trade-off is that it's not a body. It's cancelable. It's an addition, so it can be spot removed, and it does like make you have to work harder to get to gas. Interestingly enough, it also is a nice little backup in the sense of like, they answered the gas. I'm out of ice counters. Refill, try again on another turn, right? It's like a reload button, which is cool.
I feel like I'd use this like early in the game, honestly,
Sure.
to just have it
Sure.
there for most of the game, and then once I have gone and like contracted, if I already have a Brad and Killua on board, and then I get a Grand Leon off of Predator's Enter effect, I can then crack this and get another Grand Leon, and just say, no playing the game. I'm going to kill you.
That's fair. Very fair.
Does that put that into? Is it put it into win more categories then?
I think so.
guess,
I would-
yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. It's more of a win more card.
That being said, like if they're gonna give something to Killua, it kind of makes sense as to why spoilers they take some things away from Killua.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
So if she gets card advantage and aggression, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Next up, we have Cannonade Gears. 9-drop Gears Solaris, very clearly designed to be played with Sexton Noon. You can play 9 copies of this card and 6 copies of the other one, so that helps them fill out their decks. Enter, remove the top X cards of your deck, where X is the number of gear resonators with no attribute you control other than this card. Put a card of total cost X or less from among them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck. Z-axis 900. Remove this card from your graveyard face down. Search your deck for a Gears card with total cost... for a card of total cost 6 or more, or total cost 6 specifically, with no attribute, reveal it and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. Play this ability only during your turn, and only one Z-axis 900 per turn. So it's very clearly designed to get you the next card, which we'll talk about here, which is Hexen Gears. Let's talk about that real quick. You may have 6 copies of this card in your deck. You get to pay less for every thing that your opponent controls. So if your opponent controls 3 different attributes, it's free. Same with Cannonade Gears, by the way. If they control 3 different attributes, it's free. Put up to X target non-Magic Stone cards from your graveyard into the bottom of their owner's deck in a random order, where X is the number of cards, number of gears, resonators with no attribute you control other than this card. If 6 cards are removed this way, draw a card, and then you can manipulate the X value of 6, or of an X, to be 6 once per turn.
So you don't actually have
Including
to have
its own,
6
by the way.
resonators. So you can just do it, say, this is 6, and just put 6 cards underneath and draw a card.
Yeah, that's the other thing with Hexen Gears. Like, it can manipulate its own X cost. So even if it's your only resonator, you can still bottom deck 6 things and draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
Which is neat. This is...
I like Cannonade Gears simply because it is the first time in this game where we've gotten a remove this card from your graveyard face down effect.
Yeah.
And we
we are
can't
RNGing
look at
face
it.
down.
There
Yeah.
are other cards that are
And you
removed from the
can't-
game, but they're not
Yeah.
that removed from game face down, but you can look at them. This one, you can't look at it. So which means you can't use it with Solaria to have it have all 5 attributes.
Correct.
You also
This
can't
card- I
buy
mean,
it
they're
back
neat.
in anyway. Right?
Yeah, they're neat. I
Yeah,
mean, like,
this
they're
is
cool support to re-explore. Like, to me, the idea being that Sex at Noon have to have exactly 9 unique cards in their deck, right? And so that's always been a little bit weird. So with these two guys together playing 15, that means that among the other 7 cards, you get to have 24 or 25 uniques, right? So that gives you a little bit more freedom to, like, play around in that deck space a little bit more. Because
25
before...
cards, 7
amongst-
uniques.
Yeah. So you have some
Yeah,
you have
you
some
just- you
room to
reverse
like
it.
be
That's
able to
fine.
play like 1 of 2 of, as opposed to like 4 4 4 4 4 4 4, which was how it's been before. It just gives them a little bit more of creative freedom in their deck building. It's probably not enough, but it's still neat.
Because Painter Gears isn't coming back.
Because Painter's Gears isn't coming back. And that's fair. Next up, we have the cool support for each of the rulers from the set that is the Sun Children rulers. Infection of Dark Feather. If you would banish an entity, you may banish a resonator with Blessing your opponent controls instead. Apply this effect only once per turn. That's gross with Lab, just as a heads up. Whenever this card gives Blessing, another target entity gains Blessing. Also gross for hyper acceleration of Funf. Can we talk about that? That's also
It's very
gross.
strong.
And then whenever a resonator with Blessing is destroyed instead of banished, you gain X 100 life, where X is 5.
Or 6. Because it's a Gears.
Or 6.
This one specifically is Gears, so Hexen Gears can actually manipulate this one. You're not wrong. This is very good for Funf. One of the biggest drawbacks of Funf is like one of his best spells is kill 3 things with Blessing, or is kill something with Blessing. But in order to get his game plan going, you're like wanting to put Blessing stuff on your stuff, right? So this lets you like kind of do both in the early game, which is nice for sure. It also means that like his blessing of Dark Feather that puts Blessing on 3 things technically now puts it on 4 things, which is insanely relevant for him. Like this is probably getting slotted into into Funf decks. It's very, very cool.
100%. Shoutouts to Cards for Black Feathers.
Yeah.
Man.
Yep. Look, Blackwings are ninjas right now, or Glad Beasts. Glad Beasts are ninjas right now.
They're both.
Next up, we have Song of Eternal Serenity. It is our Veer support, New World Music. 2 water. Whenever you play a music chant, put an X100 resonator token where X is 4. Only triggers if you have 2 instances of melody, which does confirm start at the second music. So about to get flooded with a bunch of stuff. Tap, remove a music chant in your graveyard from the game. Search your deck for a music chant that does not share a name with cards in your removed area. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Mastery, J ruler with 1 or more instances of melody. Einsatz is free if it's your first spell for the turn, and then you can remove it, and in response, cast some kind of solarization thing to put Einsatz back in your deck, and then search for Einsatz.
I tell you what solarization card that is.
The addition?
It's Cascade.
Yeah, Cascade? Yeah. Vier's consistency was just like to the roof, alongside with playing, getting these free tokens to like be pressure, right?
I think Veer sees a little bit of new life, given that a certain card no longer exists in Force of Will's standard format.
Just a little.
Just a little bit. A certain
Only the people who already
anti-combo
played
card.
blue will play that.
Yes.
Yeah,
I also
but
think
mean,
it's
this
cool
is very
that
cool.
Veer gets a little bit of field presence, because outside of that, she wasn't seeing a lot of field presence.
fake.
That's the like
It
that's
was fake.
honestly the biggest that's honestly the biggest piece for her, right? Is that like she's
Yeah.
naturally generating board presence by playing her engine, and that's the biggest piece, right? Before it was kind of like, well, they answered the stake, guess the game's over. This way, it's like, no. We got to Melody 8. There's 7 tokens on the board, and you're like, whoa.
Also very relevant is the fact that you rest Veer to get this out for free, but then you just search for the contract, because the contract is a music.
Yep, so it also lets you just find the end piece as well. Like, this is a big boost to Veer.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, we got the card that I've been looking for 3 sets.
Yeah, hey, all
And
of
it's
the
a normal.
like
We
the
still
only
don't have a Marvel.
yeah. Next up, we have complete progression of Eclipse. It is unfortunate that it is an AI card, though I will say I did not realize that this was an AI card until like
Correct.
2 days ago.
Oh, it is.
The Gears, Sun Protection, Solarization 1. If you don't control a J ruler named Olga, you have to banish it. It gains additional text based on the number of sword of progressions in your graveyard. With 1, everything gets +2/+2 for each sword of progress. For 2 or more, all your stuff gains barrier. For 3 or more, if a resonator you control be destroyed, you may put it into your hand instead. So if they kill it, just buy it back. No big deal. And then
This is an
Panish pay
addition,
4.
Jeremy.
This is an addition. Yeah.
This is not a resonator.
I'm not this. I'm just saying your other stuff gets killed. Just put it back in your hand.
Your Imol gets
pay
killed. It's back.
Yeah, it's back immediately. Banish this card. Put a card named Sword of Progression from your graveyard into your hand. So if you have all 4 in your graveyard and you've run out, just buy it back. No big deal. This card is crazy good for Olga.
It's very correct. Plus, it's a Sun Protection, which boosts Imol, which is really helpful. This card single-handedly made me more interested in playing Olga again.
And Olga specifically, not just like an Sword of Progression with something with Magog in it. It is specifically for Olga, and I was just like, ooh, this is nice.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I like it a lot. It's a very cool card for Olga for sure. It also because it has solarization, it also has some world where it's like, they answered my Magog. Well, I'll just tuck the Sword of Progression back in to cast complete progression by the Eclipse, right? For 1, and then I can start going from there.
No text
again,
in it
right?
until you put another one in your grave.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I at least got it out there, right? Like, it helps
and
you
then
buy
you can
back.
draw it off the bottom of the deck with that 1 spell.
End of
from
the book.
End of the book.
Like, cool. End of the book on your turn. It's back in my hand.
Yeah, it's cool.
Excellent.
I like it a lot.
And then we play Sherry to go get Replicant Alice, and we go.
Next
this
up,
lends
we
a lot
have
of credence to running Deep Thing in the deck, too.
Yeah. Next up, we have Apex X 1000, 2 red armament. Sorry, 1 second. As you play this card, you target a J/Resonator you control. If that thing is still a legal target at resolution, you play this added to it. Otherwise, it goes to the graveyard. Add a J Resonator gains +X+0, where X is and whenever it attacks. If it has War, you may search your deck for a Magic Stone card named Magic Stone of War, put it into the field, not rested. Then shuffle your deck, where X is 8. So it just gets 800 attack if it's successfully added, and then it has this whenever it attacks trigger. When this card is put into your graveyard from the field, lose Y100 life, where Y is 100, right? Is that 1,000? This card becomes a sub-ruler. You then put it from your graveyard into your ruler area as a sub-ruler, and this card gains tap, target J/Resonator, A target or another armament sub-ruler you control deals 200 damage to target player or J/Resonator, whereas Z is let's see.
One.
Z is 1 as long as this is in your ruler area. So you get to ping. It essentially becomes a way to immediately be able to turn on war for other stuff, which is very helpful for sure. I wish this card didn't cost 2. I would be fine with this card. Like, if I was to resculpt this card, I'd cut the stone ramp, I'd cut the attack boost down to 4, and I'd make it cost 1.
There's actually like Savo actually pointed out with like the lore reasons for each of the numbers, because the 8 is Oct. Here you see Oct's rapier there. The 1,000 is because Electra is the 1,000 weapon master or something.
Yep.
Mhm.
And the 1 is the apex.
Yeah.
There can only be 1 at the apex of everything. I'm like, oh, that makes this card so much nicer in my head. I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, Lord reasons for sure. It's a neat card. It's certainly a card to be able to goof around with in Oct. So, it's nice. Next up we have the Virtuous and the Virtual. 5 cost Regalia 7 stars. Whenever a spell you control is chained, reveal the top 7 cards of your deck. You can then pay 700 life. If you do, put a card with chaining or seal, which means that you can grab the Regalia from among them into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. This ability only triggers once per turn. And then whenever a 7 Kings ruler you owned is revealed outside the game, you may pay 700 life. If you do, draw a card. Mastery 7 stars or 7 Kings. So you can tap. So this is weirdly Alice Cluster support, although none of them are playing chained stuff, so that doesn't make any sense. But it does also make sense for like Lenneth and like Seabed to be able to tap to produce, pull these out and stuff like that.
That reminds me, are we gonna look at the card for the
Yeah, we will.
MP1?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
We're gonna see that too. So this is neat. It makes a lot more sense when we see another card that has been spoiled for Pilgrim Memories. It's neat. Then we
This
have
card full art is amazing.
Oh,
It's
it's
gorgeous.
beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Like the most beautiful
Beautiful,
card in the set.
I want like 3 of them.
Next up, we have Imitation Adam, which is why I have Tron Trio built. He was our 8th ruler. Cannot start. He's Stand 2.0. Cannot start as your starting ruler. Pay 0 to reveal him from outside the game. Pay 3 Void and remove a card from your graveyard of attack order, defense order, and recapture order. Remove them from the game. This guy comes into your field, into your ruler zone as a ruler. God's Art of Pay 0. Shuffle all non-Magic Stone cards with 1 or more attributes in all graveyards and all removed areas into their owner's deck. Put up to 3 non-Magic Stone, non-J-Ruler cards of your removed area into your hand. Put a 2,000 Gears J-Resonator token, J-Ruler token with no attribute into the field. It gains J-Rulers you control gain Eternal and Barrier, and if you control a J-Ruler named Genocider, a J-Ruler named Prisoner, and a J-Ruler named Queen, you win the game. Until end of game, players cannot chase this ability, play this ability only on your turn. So, Stand Token 2.0.
Stand plus.
Stand Plus. With the first ever alt win con that's not triggered. It's just you win.
That's a lot.
Truly
of
is
effort,
Exodia.
though.
Truly is. It's really not.
I mean,
When you
gotta
think about
put
it-
attack, defense, and recapture in your graveyard first.
I mean, you're casting those as spells, so like
Right.
that's fine.
But if you want to, you have to have them in your graveyard and not contract into them specifically.
Or if they die,
Or if they die.
then that's fine. I think it's naturally progressive. The fact that the God's Art, like getting him into your ruler area, removes the 3, and then the God's Art buys them back to your hand immediately. So like he just naturally gives you the stuff to be able to immediately start going in on them. Then essentially it puts the opponent on a
3-turn clock.
1.5 turn clock.
Oh,
'cause you
true,
can
'cause they're
con-
quick cast.
Because you can contract one of them that turn. It'll have Eternal and Barrier. You go to your opponent's turn, contract another one, and then go back to your turn and contract the third. And so if you successfully land the token, it's a 1.5 turn clock, which is neat. I think that's very cool.
Stand 2.0.
Stand Plus. And then our last card, which is a card that I don't understand, at least in this set, is Gear's Arc. Zero cost edition, Mythic Eternal Barrier. Play this card only and its abilities only if you control the Gears Jade Ruler with all 5 attributes or with no attribute. So Solaria or Ainz or Sexen Noon or Arc is who can play this. Whenever one or more Gears Resonators you control and own are destroyed, put them from the graveyard into the field stacked below this card. Arc of Salvation. If damaged by a source you control would reduce your life to 0 or less for the first time this game, prevent X 100 of it, where X is the number of Resonators stacked below this card. Unstack all Resonators from among it, and then you save yourself. Here's my question. Say I'm at 400 life, and I have 6 things underneath this, and my opponent swings for 1,000. I still die, right?
Yeah.
Because I prevent 600 of it, but I still take the first 400, so I'm dead. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I read correctly. This card is unplayable.
Card is unplayable.
It's neat.
And yet,
Flavorful.
it moves.
And yet it moves.
It's not dead forever, quote unquote.
It's not dead forever. Okay, then we did get 2 other cards. We have Ataraktia, City of the Virtual Star. This is the buy a box promo that you get 3 copies of in every box of Pilgrim Memories. We thought it was going to be an Ataraktia, City of Verdant Green reprint. It's not.
It's so cute.
It's red green, edition 7 stars with reincarnation on top of the Virtuous and the Virtual. So your Regalia can become an edition. That's weird.
It's a Regalia edition.
And then play this card and its abilities only if you control a 7 stars Jade Ruler. You can play spells with chaining as if you controlled any of the 5, so you suddenly have access to all of the chained resonator spells. Seal X, where X is the number of... X is 7 minus the combined number of 7-star rulers you control and or 7 kings rulers you own revealed outside the game. It gains... Banish a card named Virtuous and the Virtual, which is this card. Put up to 7 7-star rulers you own from outside the game into your ruler area. This is like the dumbest card in the world.
I love
and
this
I
card.
love it.
I love it.
It's so dumb. You are never going to try to pull it off.
I absolutely
Other than-
am going to try to pull it off.
But it's so cute. And it's just like a nice, clean little happy ending, just like City of Verdant Green was for all those characters. I love it. This is so cool.
You can see everybody in the background too. Oh my god.
Hyde, Electra, Stein,
Reinhardt, Falchion, Killua.
Everybody's there.
Hey Pat. Hey Pat. You see Stein in the background?
Yeah, they're having a nice drink.
Yeah. You know what he's drinking out of?
A Stein.
A Stein.
Yeah.
Drinking out of a beer stein. It's great.
Stein drinking out of a Stein. I love these people.
This artwork is great.
Burger for
love
Maya.
these people.
Burger for Maya.
Yeah, that giant burger for Maya.
It's so cute.
We did get one other piece of news, which is that we were confirmed what the artwork for the 4 versions of Crimson Moon Battleground are going to be, and it's the 4 box arts from the first 4 sets of Force of Will, which I'm not gonna lie is probably the most clever and cool thing
I want it.
they could have done.
I want it.
This is so good. Like, even MOA being there, I'm like, that's fine. Don't care. It's just like such a nod. It's such a nod to the OG game, like to the beginning of the game's history. Like, it's so, so cool. I cannot wait to own all 4 of these in my collection.
I think we can all agree the best part about MOA was the box art. Just being gorgeous.
Sir,
and we get that reprinted on a card.
I will take out all of my stamped 6 sages and I will throw them at you.
Does one of them happen to be the box art?
I have a congrats card that's the box art. Remember the congrats cards, guys?
that you traded it in for
Oh,
another box or
man.
something.
I just kept the congrats
Yeah.
card.
I'm missing one. Yeah, I'm missing one of the textless basics from the set.
We gotta connect you with Josh Boersma. He probably still has some. So that's all the stuff that we have from this new set and upcoming news. But we've got some more stuff to talk about. Specifically, that Ruler School TCG. Our website is officially live. rulerschooltcg.com. We're still filling it out, but we wanted to at least make it live and kind of show you what we're working on here. We're going to be posting additional articles, that we don't make videos on. There's also going to be some nice content in terms of like a really helpful how to start playing or like reference tools that we're going to be putting on here. We're going to be putting tournament reports and deck profile footage, coverage. We're going to be partnering with Tell a Foul Tale to gather a lot of that information. They're an Instagram and Facebook page that have been doing great work gathering information from all over. If you guys run tournaments and want to submit contact information with reports of your tournaments, there's a button. Our contact information's down here, which is great. All that kind of stuff. Our content calendar or different events is going to be here. As we get that going, you can see we have these nice articles where we talk about our top 5 cards. Each of us talk about our top 5 cards of Judgment of the Rogue Planet, and we also have some discussion about the ban list going on here. Our little The Team thing here, as the team expands. Here's The Team. Everybody else, are a little good here. You can go to watch our videos, links to all of our different stuff. And also on the merch tab, you can see the first Ruler School 2024 quarterly kits are live. You can go order one of those right now. For your LGS or group of friends. So the kits are $200 if you're in the United States. Plus tax. If you're in the United States, the shipping is included. If you're international, it goes up to $225 to include cover for shipping plus tax. They will be shipping out in early January of 2024 so that you can run your events in late 2024 or late January, February, March. And when this mat is shipped, that's it. This kit is only for this design is only for this event. And there's instructions on here on like when you place your order, you'll see we're going to ask you to let us know where your store is or what your group of friends, like where you guys play. So we can start gathering information about what stores are out there and active in the community to help build that network up a little bit more for people. And yeah, it's going to be great. Website. We did it.
Website. It
only took us 9 years of doing content for this game to build a website.
I didn't even realize it's been that long. Like I was going through my playmats and I pulled out the Halloween Cheshire Cat one and it said 2015 on it, and I was like, "Oh."
My daughter is 8. I have been making content for this game since before she was born. I'm here.
We're still here. Despite everything, you're still here.
CCG Prime, can I get a discount on the kits if I get like 3 or 5 of them? No.
Why would you get more? What?
Great question. No. Sorry.
Just because that's not how that's arranged, unfortunately.
That's not how that's arranged with Inked Gaming. That's not how our partnership with them is working. But you can order them right now, and then we'll stockpile the orders, and then when we do the order through Inked Gaming, they'll go straight from Inked Gaming to you. And so once we submit that order to Inked Gaming, that's when that will close. And we'll make plenty of announcements of like when the window is going to close for that kit, so people have plenty of information. We would also potentially be interested in getting people to write content for the page. That's something that we definitely want to work on as we expand the website out. Because we don't have FowFest in 2024, our big projects are our big like continuous year-long projects are the website and the circuit kits, which conveniently enough we're hosting the circuit kits on the website, so that's crazy. So expect to see this expanded out a lot, but go check it out, go visit it. We're very excited about it. It's gonna be cool. And also just keep in mind that every says here, you see here, you got to make sure to email the name of the winner for whatever kit you run to us so that we can log that, because you do earn FowFest points for winning these kit events. So yeah, stuff. Ban list.
Time for
Okay.
drama.
Let's talk about the ban list. We're gonna just very quickly go through what has been hit, and then I'm gonna give each of us a moment to like talk about each of us some time to talk about what parts of the list stand out the most to us, or like things that we want to talk about the most on the list. And so we don't have to go like necessarily card by card, because I think, and then also we can talk about like generalized thoughts on the list for sure. So, things that have been changed. Ragnarok has been banned. Phantasmal Ascendant's been banned. Child of the Light Moon's been banned. Disrupting Shout for Killua has been banned. Brad Amnesic Immortal has been banned. And Great Dimension Library has been banned. No longer banned is Magic Beanstalk. Starter Aristella Twin Princes because of the errata. Prototype Magic Trooper and Death Metal have to come off the ban list because of the erratas for the reprints. No longer in the ban list. Ones that are relevant because both cards are still fully legal is Pumpkin Witch and Asuka, Excalibur the Godsword and Ayu Dimensional Warrior, and then Alice Tales of Creation and Tales of Fantasia. Those are the things that have come off the ban list where both cards are still fully legal or not impacted by the errata, because Ainz and Raging Messiah are still both fully legal, but the errata makes it so Ainz can't possibly reveal Raging Messiah. Same with Garvey. Newly combination banned. Feasting 100 Years of Wizardry plus Falchion. Ayu plus Tales of Creation, Alice. Althyrus plus Typhon's Blood. Asuka and and her contract, both versions of Asuka and her contract. Ainz plus Gears of Vacation Facility. Life Zapper Chrono Gear plus Ainz. We called that one last week. Killua Fossil Girl plus Megiddo. And Branheart Flaming Thoughts. So you can still play Flaming Thoughts if you go for the like token generator version. So like make the token version of Branheart and then like reincarnate on top of it. So like it's still usable. It's just more work to get there, which I think is fine. And there's still plenty of fun stuff you can do with Branheart without Flaming Thoughts. I watched a Branheart Maya deck earlier today that was honestly pretty dope. So that's the list. I will pass it to the two of you to talk about what points of the list you want to talk about. I'll start with Patrick. Patrick, what do you want to talk about on this list?
I will say one thing about the full bans, and it's a good riddance to everything on the full ban list. And the other thing I want to say is Asuka probably won't be staying, or the Asuka plus contract. I don't see it staying on there for very long because a lot of people just don't feel like playing Asuka, or other decks will do the same thing that they intend Asuka to do currently better.
Maybe I could see that. There's an element of I legitimately think there is a point with how they're trying to design new cards and everything else that we would need to see a reskin of Night of the Legendary Vampire for it to come back. I think, and here's why. Because Night of the Legendary Vampire can hit so many things for so cheap and also reanimate so many things for so cheap, at its will cost, it probably does too much. Like, legitimately probably just does too much. Like, it will create problems. It's almost kind of Dexia's advice level of, like, this is a problem. But unlike Dexia's advice is only cheating stuff in and costs 3 more. Like, her contract, if all it does is just kill everything and then puts out a big old flyer, like, that's still good. Heaven forbid that she gets to reanimate a bunch of stuff too. Now, that could be said to your point of maybe it gets unbanned relatively quickly. I think I see what they were going for, and the power level of that contract at its core with Asuka, I think, might just end up being a little bit too much. Even with Asuka being unable to cycle, I still think that card is a little bit too much.
Even without the loop.
I think there's also a world where so to be honest, before the ban list dropped, I was talking about the idea of going um Death Scythe on opponent's turn, Ramp a Stone Contract, Endless Night on my turn, go in at that way, and then they're still protected from stuff like Killua, because Killua doesn't have a window to stop you from being able to contract and stuff like that. More buffer. I don't know if that was relevant or not, maybe, but that was just something I was considering. Again, I can see the complaints about this contract getting hit. I get it for sure. It's one that I definitely don't think was necessarily needed, but I'm not like surprised. I guess I'd say I would not like. I'm not broken up about it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I feel like Asuka's had like a long time to shine, and it's
Yeah.
been like loops. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Paul, any thoughts on Asuka?
I have a ton of thoughts, but I'm trying not to like talk about my article.
Oh, sure. That's fair. That's
I'm
fair.
trying to repeat what I already typed.
I'll just put this out to the rest of the community. All of my thoughts are on the most recent article about the 2023 December ban list. This kind of sets a
mean,
precedent
this one?
that I want to talk about later. Yeah,
Look
that
at
one.
this. Look
That
at this
one.
article.
That one's really good.
Look at this. Look at this article. So much information. Look at how it like loads and it like looks so nice as it loads, and there's like good talking at points, and Paul did such a good job.
Oh, thank you.
It's nice little so good.
This trying not to have my ego stroked right now. It sets a precedent that I really hope the company internalizes going forward and doesn't do anymore. But we can talk about that a little bit later on because we're running out of time.
Oh, are you talking about in terms of like banning things to force decks to look a certain way?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Not as much that. It's definitely more of, hey, this card is in the starter deck and now it's banned, right?
Oh, sure. That issue. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because
For
now
sure.
both starter decks, you have to explain to new players, like, hey, you just got this starter deck. This card is actually banned, so you can't use that card anymore. But you can use,
Yeah,
like,
I remember when we
I will
said
say
if you
it's
wanted
I
to
will
play
say
it,
to your
minor.
credit, I will
Minor.
say to your credit there, I think that it is important that the company like reassess their starter products to like make sure that that's not within the realm of possibility, for sure. I also don't think that any member of this community would look at a person who just picked up a starter deck and be like, "Hey, welcome to our tournament. You can't play that." Like, I think everyone would probably be pretty okay with, you just bought a starter deck, we're going to let you play it as is. Like, I
Yeah.
think that's most of it.
yeah, I was gonna say. I think I remember when we were gonna let people play the Aristella starter just as is.
At FowFest. Yeah, at the time for
Last
FowFest.
year.
We were like, you can play Warhorse at FowFest, even though it's banned for FowFest, if you register exclusively the Aristella starter deck. Like, if that is what you register, we will let you have Warhorse. That was it. Like, and that was like,
Yeah.
we played a tournament that way. So I
No,
get to your point for
100%.
sure. Yeah.
100%. And I think that says a lot more about the community, right?
Yeah.
And how accepting and accommodating the community is to newer players.
Yeah.
I would just suggest to the company that perhaps
We need to address
if
this.
this is integral to the strategy, maybe don't ban that. Even if Asuka has other options like Death Scythe Rebooted, our newer players going to get those cards and have
Yeah.
that accessible right from the get-go. I
Yeah,
think
for sure.
yeah, that needs to be considered.
I think with this entire ban list, to me, it gave me, walking away from it, I had 4 thoughts. One is that I have to still keep an eye on Killua. I think these are probably the correct first hits to Killua. I think probably still, especially with everything else, and especially when combined with the errata nerf, for sure. So that was my first thought. Second, this to me felt like the first list that we've ever seen out of the company that was a 2-stage consideration, meaning that they thought about what is going to be good when we ban these problem cards, and are those also going to be problems as opposed to just being good? And I think this ban list did that very well. Because
Just the
I
IU
know people are
Alice.
like, I know people were like, oh, solarization, you're not going to get the extra will off of the Alice. I don't want to tell people you have to play a Solaris station or you die on 1 to IU. Like, that's just not a precedent to set in our environment, right?
Mhm.
That I don't think I want that. And technically they gave Alice back 2 very cool tools.
Mhm.
Excalibur is insanely relevant for that deck, being able to pump up your J ruler and give you extra will. And Tales of Fantasia is a great win con, like, to be able to play to. They
Fantasia into
just took a
Fantasia into Fantasia into
they
Fantasia.
just took away the oops you're dead on 1 through interaction line, right?
Mhm.
Which is very clearly what they were trying to do here as well, with like planning of Ragnarok. The Brad hits were good here. Phantasmal was good. We were things that we were asking for. It's one of the like they also hit other things that for sure. Noticing Ions plus gear plus
Years of vacation facility.
no Ions plus the pitch
My Zapper.
life
Oh,
zapper,
Chrono
like
Gear.
that was really
Life
good to
Zapper.
hit. So let's see. So then the other piece here is like when I talk about like stage 2 hits, like the stage 2 hits to me were the Asuka, Ainz, and the Asuka, Ainz, Falchion, and Alice hits. Those were the stage 2 hits to me. Ainz still has, even if he just gets the Solaria, he still has access to some of the best board wipes and like potential value operation in the game. And then when you combine the fact that he can just play some of the best resonators in the game with upside by just making them a gears, is like, I don't know if I want just that to be the biggest boogeyman of the format, right out the
Mhm.
gate. So like I get that for sure. Falchion plus Ainz, you could say like, oh, Falchion's got nerfed. He technically has 2 ways out the gate to get a free edition. Sure, they burn cards in his hand, but that man draws cards like nobody's business, in the form of like being able to just play daily research for free, which gets him another edition, which then draws him a second card, which then all these other things. So like
And his contract.
Falchion and his contract, like feasting is still very, very good in Falchion, and Falchion can get additions very, very quickly. So like I think there was an element of, do I think that it was necessary? Maybe not. We could get into it and say maybe not. But I would rather, especially since we're coming off of a ban list that was just unbans, I kind of am appreciative of a heavy-handed ban list that encourages us to explore the space in other ways. Not just, well, how do I just take the best decks of last format and continue to have them be the best decks, right? Like my best deck didn't get hit, so I'm just going to keep playing that. And then like I said with Ayu and Alice, and then I the Mount Othyrus Typhon's Blood felt a little bit weird to me. But I've also played against Typhon that just didn't reveal Lothyrus, and that deck is still good. Even without instant speed bloods.
Even without instant speed final battle or Steven's troop or like other stuff.
Yeah, like that deck is still good. So that's something to be considerate of. I the biggest takeaway for me from this ban list is like the company really, really wants you to go exploring, and feel comfortable being able to explore, because they took out the hyper punishing early opener decks. So that's me, and I'm okay with that.
There's definitely been a section of conversation. I'm not going to say how big it is because I don't want to overinflate it, but I also don't want to underinflate it. But there's been this almost reaction to they took my stuff away. And I guess I just don't approach ban lists like that, right? Like I always view ban lists as like, okay, we're gonna take this thing out of the game so the game is healthy. Like the body and the system of the game is now healthier because we did this thing. And the way that the company focuses on its ban list is so much different than what I've seen other ban lists do. In that we're going to preemptively take this out so we're not setting a precedent for power level later, right?
Yeah.
And they're really trying to keep the power creep flat. Like it's raising slowly but surely over time as any game would have it, but they're also not allowing for like some places to be higher spikes than others, right? Which is where I think the Ragnarok thing comes in. Where you ban that, or like, hey, we don't want to set a precedent with Typhon just having instant speed, produce 2 will, draw 2 cards, right? Like, we don't want to set that precedent. We don't want you to just have free will off IU to swing and kill on turn 1. We don't want you to have free will with Flaming Thoughts. And when we were designing
at least
that
not
card,
easily.
You know, we don't want you to be able to Graceful Charity, produce a red will, and just continue to go off. The deck is still very playable.
And I think for me, please, those listening in the past, those listening, or in the future, those listening currently, please don't hear this as us saying this ban list or its execution is perfect, or that we think that you can't be frustrated. Because we get that. We get that it can be frustrating to see this list or see them kind of like be heavy-handed in a way that wasn't expected and like you don't necessarily agree with. For sure. Please voice those, frustrations. Just voice them in a way that is constructive and recognizing and maybe also consider voicing those frustrations after you've had a minute to calm down emotionally so that you can think about the overall meta impact on these things that you're frustrated about. Because disagreement with the ban list is part of card games. I think no one is saying that you can't disagree with the decisions of any ban list in any card game. We played Yu-Gi-Oh! We played Kaijudo. I disagreed with the ban lists on those kinds of games a lot. I would look at Yu-Gi-Oh! Ban lists and go, what were they thinking, right? I think intent matters a lot here. And I can see, when I get past the frustrations or confusions, I can see intent here, which to me, the intent is what I'm looking at the most as to what I consider as a good or a bad ban list. Or lets me bend it towards one way or the other. And I think intent was really good here. That being said, I will also say that feedback has already been given to never, ever please use the lore ban concept ever again.
Please.
Just don't. Because, again, with Ainz and Asuka, there are potential very real reasons to ban those cards in the competitive environment because of the pace and structure of gameplay that you're going for. There are real valid reasons for that. Beyond but lore. Totally get that frustration. Heard. Please know that is heard, chef. So
I think that's part of why this list feels so odd is because we haven't really the lore ban was never something that was used by the company. It was always something that was implied, right?
Yeah.
And so now that it's being so explicit, it's
without also immediately supported by here's the competitive reasons too, right?
Right. And I think a ban list should always be used for competitive reasons. Yeah. Sorry, Pat, go ahead.
No, I was saying, sealed one-eyed is no longer sealed. Play Electro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, they talked about how sealed one-eyed was just being played as a 4 of in every deck, and there was other, there was more to it than just the
now
lore.
We're getting into Electra's being played in almost every deck.
Nah, it's fine.
Weird.
Let her be. She's cool.
Weird.
She's a cool rezo.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway from this list
she prevents an
has
auto
been
loss
for
to Dark
me.
Tree.
She would have lost to Dark Tree.
No,
I
I'm
think the
saying she
biggest
prevents
takeaway
the
from the
auto
list.
loss to Dark Tree because of solarization.
Oh, she does. That's true. Um, I think the biggest thing about this list that I've been taught, especially, and I think the community is wrestling with this, and I just want to articulate it. It's we all come to this game for different reasons, even though it may not seem like it. We all come to this with different reasons, and we all interpret the ban list through those reasons, right? And so I came to this game for a healthy, well-rounded environment that always felt good to play and walk away from,
Yeah.
so I would want to play it
Yeah.
again, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm going to interpret this list to see how does that meet my goal in this game. And other people might be coming from different places, and those are also potentially valid interpretations as well.
Yeah.
Right.
I have an interesting bit of data here, which I think is fun. So, Force of Will currently, as of this ban list, has 43 banned cards and 25 combo banned cards. Okay?
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Super has 56 banned cards, 14 limited cards, and one card that you can only play one copy of. Digimon has 23 ban list, 2 cards that you can only have 2 copies of, and one that is full, one that you can only have 1 copy of. Modern Magic has 47 banned cards. Vintage Magic has 47 banned cards, 52 limited cards, and 1 limit 1 card. Legacy in Magic has 106 banned cards. Commander has 88 banned cards. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has 106 bans, 17 cards that are limited to 2 copies, and 19 cards, or 75 cards that are limited to 1 copy, and 19 cards that are limited to 2 copies.
Just calling them out, why don't you?
So I'm just saying.
Just going straight for the throat.
There's the data. There's your data.
Okay. But let's just all talk about how like the Yu-Gi-Oh ban list is hyperinflated and half those cards could probably just come off and it wouldn't break the game.
Please, I left that game for a reason.
That's like every talking point of every Yu-Gi-Oh!
Cellophane. Personally, I wish there was a little more combo ban of certain control staples, not full ban, just combo ban. I'd like to see Witch of the Fallen Kingdom and Pumpkin Witch combo ban. Thoughts?
I've been saying that for 2 years.
I think I want to see how control decks do in this current environment before I get there. Like, because currently right now we have even more ways to deal with that, and it's harder for them to get meaningful value off of Magic Stone Research Institute because of the nerfs and everything else. So, like, I want to see what control decks are doing or needing, whether I think that that combination is needed to be hit still. Not mad they banned cards that needed banned, just that they banned cards that shouldn't have been made and are so new. I mean, I guess that's fair. I think that's a fair critique of, right? We would like them to take this insight and like take it back as data to say like we need to be more mindful of cards that we design moving forward. That's what I mean in terms of like constructive critique, as opposed to just like burn everything down because they don't know how to design cards. Like that's not helpful. Like that's not helpful to people.
Yeah. That's not going to promote change.
To be fair to the older games, they are 4 times older than our game. We're also 10 years old. Like we are old. DBS is significantly younger than us and has a bigger ban list than we do. Like
I think Dan and I were talking the other day, and I think this is one of only 14 card games in the last 30 some years to
make it
go
to 10
past
years.
10 years.
Yeah. So
we're in, kids.
TLDR, it's okay to be frustrated. We encourage you to share your perspective, but remember to try to get past the emotional reaction to formulate what your critiques are in a meaningful discussion way rather than just emotional vomit of frustration. Fair?
Yeah.
Also, TLDR, I really like this ban list, and I'm enjoying the meta that it's provided already.
I will find out when I build decks.
Just like run off camera.
When I have decks built and I finally am able to play the meta, I will find out.
I could sense we're going into denouement. I would also say my other thought into this, and the one thing I do hear people saying is I wish they wouldn't ban such new cards, right? So like Great
Sure.
Dimension Library just came out like a couple months ago. Same thing with Brad, and that's valid. I also agree. Maybe just don't take away our new toys right away. Maybe design better toys.
Yeah. I think that's the see, like, that to me is the messaging that comes from it, though, right? Like, I would rather focus on the messaging of, like, oh, I can't believe they banned this card after 6 months. I would take it as, like, hey, guys, hey, company, I understand why you banned this for health. Take it as a lesson when you're designing future sets that, like, this has happened recently, right? Like, that should be the messaging of, like, I appreciate that you are trying to do balance work. Recognize why you're needing to do balance work and adjust accordingly. Like, that's the messaging I think that needs to come out of it.
Never mind like how like complicated it must be to like plan games like this, right? Where they
Yeah.
want to do cool effects and they only have so much time to flesh things out.
Yeah.
That's one thing I have appreciation for too.
Yeah. So, yeah, there you go. Go buy kits.
I will join
Kits.
you for
On
your
our
kit.
website at
On our website.
rulerschooltcg.com.
Just as a heads up, again, you do not have to be a store to purchase one of these kits. You can be a group of friends who want to run an event as a group of friends, right? The whole idea for this is to provide an easy on-ramp for people to run mid-size events or like mid-level style events, you know, like do a case split or a box split plus this, right? Like add a box to the pricing for this and then like have us be the main pricing. Like the whole idea is we're trying to make it very easy for you to run cool events with these kits. And yeah, so that's that project. So wait, hold on 1 second. Jeff, what you do here? Why you here? Good to see you. Did not expect you to come into this environment tonight.
Is that 307 Mian?
That is Jeff Finnegan, everybody.
Jeff Finnegan.
Hey, buddy.
That's a name I
Hi,
haven't heard in
buddy.
years.
We're still here. We're still doing this thing. Hi. Saying the
Whoa.
old rule was to ban the older of the two in a problematic situation, but that was pre-Wanderer only. Yeah, that tracks. That tracks.
Yeah, if only we had like a way to onboard people into Force of Will in 2024. Well,
That sounds like a video for another day.
that sounds like a problem for another
I'm-
channel.
I'm willing the idea
Wait,
into Jeremy's queue.
Let's see. I wonder
Thank
if
you.
there's like
Ugh!
an article already being formulated to go along.
You're
with
super
that
sick and
other
staying
video.
at home. Well, feel better, buddy. Feel better. It's always good to see you. It's always good to see you. Hope things are going well with life, other than being sick. It's always good to see you, bud. Well, that is going to be it for us for the night. Super glad to be able to launch all these cool projects. Looking forward to no feature match this week because we haven't had locals with the new decks yet. We're getting stuff recorded and all that jazz. We'll start feature matches next week for a new set. And then exciting stuff coming from there. And then let your stores know about this kit. We also have some other big videos coming out this month, including a video talking about the kits and everything else that you can share with your stores to be like, here's this thing. So keep an eye out for that. And articles and stuff on our website. Go check it out, rulerschooltcg.com. And until next time, this has been myself, DMO73, and I've been joined by Patrick Ogrins
Time to build.
and Paul Reisman.
I am the webmaster.
Class dismissed.
The admonition.